Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Weekly DLC. I'm one of your hosts, Kurosh, joined always by my co-host, Daniel Vargas.
Guten Tag.
And Daniel Jang.
Kojima hentai.
And if you're not familiar with what we do, we come to you each and every week, and we with podcasting services of your choice. Sorry. And what we do is we talk about nerdy stuff, comics, movies, games, kind of everything in between. And we each pick a topic. We have some fun. We hope you have fun. This is episode 124. And yeah, we're here to have some fun. Just a note, though, we're not going to be doing our weekly chit chat after. It's going to be a little bit more abrupt because it's kind of like an out of place recorded one.
We're pre-recording this
Pre-record.
for a week that we can't record.
But because we're guaranteeing week to week DLC, some would even refer to it as weekly DLC, we had to make sure that this is happening. So just understand that that's the reason why. With that, though, let's jump into our topics.
Kojima recently showcased Death Stranding trailer with a release date. He specified that it's a different type of game and it's very mysterious, saying that it's a new type of game style, not stealth. What are your thoughts and opinions of... So the basic premise is they're trying to unite America. That's the game. Mm-hmm. What do you think the gameplay... He mysteriously said that we got to connect to Strands and unite and help each other. How is this gameplay going to look, or what is it going to be?
You want to start, or do you want me to go? Go for it.
There's a lot, obviously, to go into that, but I think for a general gist, I wonder if connecting Strands has something to do with also map creation for the game. As you connect Strands, it's building that world for people to explore.
Okay. I can see that. That kind of reminds me, we talked about not so much the content, but at the end of Nier Automata, mm-hmm. How it connects to other people's games in a meta way, where it's you can give your game file to save. I think that could be a way that this sort of goes along a similar vein in a different way.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be weird, whatever it is. I don't think it's going to be this is so straightforward. One of the things, though, I remember he talked about in a prior interview, and I think it's still going to be a mechanic based on what I saw in that trailer, which, that trailer was just
the ladder?
It gave me so much, because it was 8 minutes, 9 minutes? But it made me have so many more questions. But going back to what I was saying, he mentioned that a lot of times when you get a game over screen, that is usually when the game restarts and it's abrupt. But he's I want to make that a part of the game. So when you get to a point where you quote unquote die or fail or something, that doesn't end. It continues and it'll be a separate, it's a part of the gameplay. And I think that will be, I don't know if that's going to be separate from the whole Strands and the connections, but I could see it being it maybe. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's Stranding reality with game by connecting that in some way, or maybe it's Stranding life and death, making it it's not the end of a journey, but it's a continuation of a journey. I don't know. Yeah, I could see him getting existential in that sense. What do you think?
I actually read an article. I kind of know.
Cheater.
I know I cheated. I didn't want to know anything about it, but it says it features a asynchronous multiplayer that sounds very reminiscent of the Soul series. So you can help other players by sending them supplies, point out safe houses. So the way Dark Souls does is they'll point, your avatar can point, a ghost or a shadow can point to stuff, and then you can also have the option to walk in the footsteps of fellow couriers to unite civilization. So it's kind of like Dark Souls. I guess you can see how people died, or actually not died, but see their path.
Okay.
That they took.
That could also be used to troll.
I wonder if that's what
if there's a big
just going in circles,
just walk over the cliff. It's
so I don't know. I know you guys saw the trailer, but did you guys see the video? But did you guys see they were making it an all day stream thing, and most of the day it was just a bunch of hands. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if it'll be like that. You see these footsteps, and so because in Dark Souls, you can see a blood stain. If you touch it, you'll see a ghost figure of the character just fighting nothing in the way, and all of a sudden he just dies. I wonder if that's something similar. You just see footsteps just stop, and that's where that guy died, and you're I got to be careful. What if something comes out?
That'd be interesting.
Kind of thing. So that'd be really cool. Or it's just maybe that's a way to see locations to go to. Like when you see someone walk in that direction, you're like, okay, that's a direction I can walk to too. Maybe like that's how you do like the connection. That's someone continues the path.
But I'm wondering, like, a lot. It seems like these ideas are more like strands connecting the player with the game.
Right.
But it's mentioned in the game cinematics, where or at least the ones they showed us a glimpse of, where it's like we need to connect the strands, and it's like, what are those strands?
I hope like I know there's like crazy people that are going to try to solo it. I want them to make it where you have to connect. Like it's so damn hard. You
With
can't
other players?
Yeah, you cannot solo it. I mean, I don't want it to be cheap. But like,
I don't know if it's gonna be like a. I don't know how integral that part will be.
And what's funny with
oh god,
go for it, because I was gonna go on a different tangent.
I kind of was too.
Okay, just with the death real quick. I don't because with Sekiro, like that's a thing with like death is like you can revive from that, but like there is negative effect to constantly dying and reviving.
Okay,
I wonder if that'll be a thing like with where it's like. Is there benefits to never dying, or is there like is it okay to die a few times, or would it even matter? Like, does death even matter? It's just a continuation of how the game plays, but there's no negative to it. So like when you that way you have no fear when like because the trailer shows like these kind of invisible beings and he's trying to like find them and avoid them, but maybe this is a way of like. Have no fear, like try to go around them and don't, cause that to just make you backtrack essentially, in a sense, because you won't technically die. You'll just reappear
continue elsewhere
underwater.
The thing I was going to bring up was in the trailer, you see hints at like going into the past, and it makes me wonder if those are the strands of like connecting all of time with like with history. Is like. We need to learn from our prior lessons or mistakes or whatever, because it looked like World War I. Like they showed tanks.
Yeah.
And it showed more Mads Mikkelsen like in that timeline than it did like Norman Reedus's. And I'm wondering if he's like trying to take advantage of it, but there's like I don't know.
I wonder if that's like the death thing. When you die, you go into the past and you have to fight your way back out.
Oh shit!
I wonder if that's the thing.
Could be. I could see that too.
Yeah, but like in the trailer, it showed Mads like he comes out of the water like completely looks human, and then skeletons appear next to him, like dressed in like
they look like Terminator soldiers.
Yeah, they're dressed in like I would consider like war attire.
Yeah, like Black Ops.
Yeah, Black Ops, and then like everything just catches on. Like they're like in oil apparently, and all just catches on fire, and they're perfectly fine. But that's super interesting. Like, I wonder if Mads is a main bad guy character or if he's just like a pawn in a main bad guy character's scheme.
I think he's gonna skate the line. Like he's gonna be like he has reasons, philosophical reasons. I think the one that's like true evil in
Troy Baker
is Troy Baker. I think he's chaotic evil, like in terms of any sort of like measurement. Where he might not be the main villain, but in terms of just like complexity, he might be like, I have a mission and it's clearly like to not connect the strands. It's to segment, and
he's scissors.
He's the scissors. But I do think like the things he's Kojima, and like we talking about Dark Souls, we're talking Nier. I think there's a lot of like in the Asian gaming industry, they're playing with new ideas in a way that we haven't seen before. More so than I've seen in a lot of American games. They're bringing it to Western audiences, and I think it's cool. It's like seeing the Sekiro mechanic and seeing what Nier Automata has done, and seeing what some of these other games where it's like you're in each other's games, but you're not. Like in the way we're used to in American games where it's like join a server, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
It's more like we're all experiencing these adventures.
It's like a presence of someone.
Yeah. It's like instead of texting everyone, you can do that sort of thing to just a passerby, like, hey, I was here, or it's like you've left. It's like imagine all these people going on a hike and they leave their mark on that hike somewhere.
It's his leap of faith off a ledge, you know.
No,
and it has all these upvotes.
I guess there's something down there.
But yeah, I'm curious. Like, what's the connection with the players, and what's the connection in the story? Because it's just like
they mention. Try not to kill people. What do you think happens if they kill people? There's a spoiler. I want to say spoiler for Metal Gear Solid 3. It's not a big spoiler. If you kill people, it makes a boss fight tremendously long. If you don't kill people, it makes it easy. So I wonder I feel like that was a play test of
this idea.
This idea.
Maybe it just makes more enemies difficult. Like it seems like Troy Baker could have like a way to become stronger with death, and so with you maybe causing people to die fuels him, yeah, and he could be like another boss that just is more
What's
difficult.
interesting is like there was a little bit of gunplay, but it really didn't have much gunplay. I'm like, what can like
you're just like hiking.
I think that's a carrier. You know, that's like
right
what you were saying.
But like the game, I feel like one of the things it's going to do is like for these action adventure games, we're so used to having like some clear and like
yeah, it's always a first person shooter.
well, no, not just first person. Like I'm talking about like the Horizons and some of these others. There's a clear way of combat.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is advertising. At least a lot of the
yeah.
trailer, it didn't advertise combat in a large way at all. It's
Right.
like it was more like the Silent Hill or those other games where it's like when it's available to you, you could utilize it, but there might be better.
And when there was action, you just see him like juke. He's just like stopped and like the guy like missed. Like
because they're all in just these clunky suits and stuff.
I don't know if you guys caught this in the trailer. This is fucking weird. This is on the other trailer too, but he's carrying like a big man on his backpack.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, what the fuck?
Body
is
or
that?
something.
Yeah, it's just some dude sitting down and
It's Guillermo del Toro.
dead man. With the
But then there's the babies. Like, what's the connection with the babies? Like, is that a connection
It
to?
seems like they're a power source.
It kind of makes me think of BioShock.
I
with
think
the little girls.
Yeah.
And like how you can use them.
I think when
or
you
not use them.
get into those weird when it rains and those black things appear, I think you need that to see.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, because they're invisible. Like there's these beings that are invisible, and it seems like there's a moment in the trailer where it just seems like, all right, let's do this, and like that's why we brought these, and he just like connects the baby to his chest, and the hand starts moving. And like that kind of censors like in the location where these invisible beings are at, and then the next scene is him in like a forest, and like he does like a kind of like an EMP burst where he can see like the outline of these creatures, and he's trying to avoid them, but then like it comes out and he has to dodge. He's just running away, and then kind of moves on to the next thing. But like it seems like they're a power source. It could be like the pure innocence of a baby, or I don't think they're actual like born babies. I think they're like engineered.
Yeah.
In a sense, but I think like either like innocence or pure innocence is something that's able to find these creatures or something like that. Who knows? Or maybe it's just they've decided like this is how energy works, and maybe
It's like the
those,
Matrix.
the humans that he's like carrying on the back, it's an energy source.
growing.
Keanu comes out.
He's just completely bald and naked.
And when you pre-order it, you get that baby.
Did you get
So
that
I have
one?
2 now. I'm
Two
not gonna.
pre-orders?
I'm not gonna cancel because I'm just scared. What if
Yeah.
GameStop just messes up?
Yeah.
So
They will mess up. You should.
I mean, if I get another one, you guys can buy it off me, or I'm just gonna sell it on eBay. I mean, it's selling for $300 on eBay. It's $200.
I suggest you resell it, but I'm curious as the quality of that thing because it shows Kojima has it in his hands in a
Took it out of the pot.
but it looks
Drink it.
cheesy.
Well, I could see that being like you have that arm that you got Kojima to sign. Like this seems like a cool thing to
Yeah.
Have him
meet
sign
him
too.
again.
Yeah.
Just make a cosplay because he's always like, if you follow him on Twitter, he's like, here's a close up picture of the backpack for cosplayers. You know, like he's always like hint, hint, hint. You know, cosplayers.
Is that one of us?
Probably.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought it was the camera for a second. Yeah, he's like a big fan of like he's a fanboy.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I always see him like, oh, this movie
Movies.
or
Yeah.
this figure I just got or like this is my
He saw
phone.
Godzilla the same day.
Oh,
you-
dude.
Gojira.
He has like a lot of Godzilla figures. I'm like, man, I want to see him do some kaiju stuff.
I just hope.
But one of the trailers even shows like these craters and like these larger than life. I'm like, what is that? Like, was that things that we engineered or was it things that came?
It could be an aftermath. Like again, like we're talking about like you're saying it goes to the past to these World War
like
type
one,
scenes.
yeah.
So it could be like a thing with nuclear weapons, and that's us like having used it in this area. And so maybe
see that, yeah.
like these creatures of invisibility are a cause of variation or something
Yeah,
like that.
it could be like his homage to like the Godzilla franchise being like, oh, it's a product of our destruction that
Yeah.
we've done. That can be interesting.
You know what's crazy is the plot is like very political and it's like a metaphor. I don't see people really complaining about it, which is crazy.
Not-
Usually, like
not
people would.
yet.
But I don't
complain-
think people understand it.
Yeah,
enough.
it's not a clear cut picture. I think once it's a clear cut picture,
Like
because
Division is very clearly like White House bad, this,
Yeah,
that. Like
yeah.
Kojima's is like you gotta like play it, and even then it's got to like in articles have to like spell it out.
Yeah.
Because I see what you're saying. Like there's a lot of like the whole we got to make America great again. We got to like our country's divided. Like very much so in the trailer, but maybe because it hasn't got enough but like understanding behind it that.
I just hope he doesn't make like super long cutscenes. Like kind of make it concise, dude.
Okay.
Like just cut to the point.
Maybe that's why the game is releasing so quickly.
4
Because
years? 4
fucking
years,
he started his company and then released the like gate trailers very quickly, and
Yeah.
now we're getting the game this year.
But you got to give a shout out to Guerrilla Games.
Yeah, for the engine?
Fucking, if it wasn't for that, I think it would have took forever.
Yeah, and that's
100%.
something Drishan Schreier has brought up. Like, because people are saying like 4 years for Kingdom make a game. He's like, well, the biggest thing is he was able to use someone else's engine.
Yeah, well, I think that's the whole thing of like PlayStation being like these are all under our branch because we can
Yeah.
share resources.
Yeah, because in the
And
beginning,
now-
when I remember, it felt like it was just yesterday, where him and Mark Cerny were traveling to different game
I
studios to
remember that.
find
It
the
felt-
right.
Yeah, it felt like yesterday.
Yeah. I felt like it was just recently that they were like literally flying around to find the studios, and then he had announced like, "Hey, I'm pleased to say like Guerrilla Games is going to let us use our like." He's like, the reason I gave them is because they were like, as soon as I arrived, they're like, "Here's our full game engine," and they was like, "What? Like no restrictions?" He's like, "No, here,
Just try it."
And yeah, he was like, "I need this. This is what I need." So
Yeah,
Shout outs to Guerrilla Games.
Yeah, I mean the gameplay. Like there was a tweet he had because he after the trailer he'd been like giving paragraph tweets and messages of like in elements of the game, and one of them was like that mountain is in the game. It's not like a backdrop. Like here's it in the backdrop, and then here's another cutscene. This is us going to that spot that's in the background, and it's fully defined. Like all this, it's like wow. Like this is where games are at, and this is where like people that know how to like make the really like top tier games can take advantage of some of this. It's crazy.
You know we're in the ultimate game though, right? Simulation.
Stranded, bro. Yeah, and then there's just all these characters that I'm like, how big or small a role?
Yeah,
Like Guillermo
how
del Toro
big?
seems like he's at a core level of it too, of like the science. But
Well,
then
did you see his character's name? It was like
Dead Man.
Yeah, Dead Man.
yeah, and then there's another one, Die Hard Man.
What's crazy is like how these guys are wearing masks and it's like acceptable. Like, like this dude has
There
a
was
black
one dude,
mask
yeah,
on.
he just
Yeah, it's
covered his
totally
face.
normal.
maybe it's an apparatus of some kind for him, like he needs it.
Like Troy Baker, he's a
Mask
villain.
on a mask.
He's a villain, so I can see.
But
the
he was
gold.
also in military gear. When the other guy wore it, he was like in normal attire,
Right.
and he had this little mask on. I was like, what?
He
And then
makes some crazy characters, man.
yeah, I think it's cool though for like this is a fresh IP. He's making like characters like we keep seeing Norman Reedus. We're like, okay, who is he? We keep seeing Mads Mikkelsen. We keep seeing, and it's like now it's becoming memorable and like a character that we can like now associate with this franchise. And who knows if it's just a single game or if it continues. But
Also, like shout outs to like getting all these like top tier actors to go on board. Like I think like Kojima has always tried to fought for the legitimacy of games.
yeah,
And like he's trying to prove like games are more than games are art, and it's like finally like I feel like this is like the one where we got like AAA actors and it's just like
Damn,
we're here, dude.
I hope it's
We're
like
here.
sustainable though. Like they
Yeah.
can that it's not like we put so much money into this, but it doesn't make what it needs.
Right.
I do think like he's such a film like aficionado that like I think the way he's taking it as an art form is like let's make this cinematic and that's why you get those long cutscenes and this and that because he likes.
I still think we'll have because that's a good way to develop a story in a game.
Yeah,
you know?
totally. Like I think that AAA level should be at this thing. Like God of War is another one that I think of like that cinematic quality and all that stuff. But then you have other games that are like artful in like the inside journey way, which they're like we're gonna cater to a more simple, pure idea, but it's like a sampling versus like this is like huge budget. The last thing I was gonna say was I really feel like if he nails the gameplay in a satisfying way, I hope he does. It makes me think like it could go in the vein of like a Breath of the Wild, where you're just like traversing, and that like you could care less when you get to like when you hear about people talking now about Breath of the Wild, hardly do they talk about the divine beasts as much, like going through that part. It's like the going through the world.
That's
part.
one thing though, like because there's games like Grand Theft Auto, like where you can go through the world, but no one ever really they talked about the scale of Grand Theft Auto, but no one ever talks about like this, like going through Grand Theft Auto,
The missions.
but like when it comes to Breath of the Wild, like everyone was talking about like, dude, I burned an apple today, I did I accidentally burned a whole forest down. Like it's these small things, and same thing. Like I was captivated by it. Like I literally went a completely different route than what the game is supposed to suggest to you. And I never even knew until I talked to you guys, and you guys, oh yeah, it tells you to go like the.
But just like that
opposite.
sense of exploration is so enjoyable. Like
Yes.
what we're saying is that it can be in a game of itself. It doesn't need to be like
Climbing. Trying to climb a mountain in Breath of the Wild.
I hope that Kojima, if this is like meant to explore like that he captures what Breath of the Wild definitely did.
that'd be cool. All right, that's all I have. Is there any final thoughts you had?
Can't wait till November. November 8th.
Is it 8th or 30th?
Number 8.
Oh,
Number
okay.
8, yeah.
Damn.
Oh, actually, you know what, dude? I'm calling it right now. Thursday, we might have to move the time because I might call out to work to play it.
Is it Thursday?
Well, if they have a midnight release, which I think they will.
Oh, it'll be Thursday.
It's on a
but
Friday.
it's on a
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's
So
fine.
let's do Wednesday then.
I'll probably do this.
I think I'm gonna call out for this one.
I'll just watch you stream.
I want to see you just like come with your backpack, like
Carry the baby at Starbucks.
that's just get another one of these. Like have it be transparent. Have a little baby inside.
And you just drink out of it.
All right, next topic.
That's my topic, and I wanted to talk about some of your favorite or memorable sidekick characters in video games or any other media that you see.
Any sidekick?
Animal sidekicks. Sorry.
Okay.
Animals.
Specifically, fur on them.
Furries, especially.
Triggered.
Furries.
If you guys have one right now that you just have on the tip of your tongue that you want to say,
I'm gonna say one. Lion Cat from Saga, the comic book.
Oh,
He's like,
yeah.
so there's this bounty hunter named the Will. He has this cat, and the cat can tell if you're lying.
and he just says.
He just says lying.
So what's funny too is that I follow this guy from Puerto Rico, a tattoo artist, and he had just tattooed that cat on someone,
What?
and it just says lying. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that cat.
Mine is video game related. Palicos
Oh shit!
from Monster Hunter. They're very, very important.
Yeah.
Because they help.
They're probably one of the most OP sidekicks, I'd say.
Because they're invincible.
Or they fuck you up, throwing
Yeah.
a bomb in your direction. Like,
It's saving you. Dude.
Well, in one of the games, you can actually just play a full match as a Palico.
Yeah, as Palicos. So yeah, Palicos is mine, and that's because of his shirt, dude.
Oh,
Well done.
yeah, dude, Palicos. Yeah, they're like cat, but they're also like a race of people that like they can be your cooks, they can be hunters, they can go on just like side
And
things for you.
The cook is super memorable with his fucking
Yeah, he's just like,
scar.
yo, bro. For me, I gotta think back to Sonic the Hedgehog, Tails.
Tails.
I love Tails. Tails.
fucking
He's
Tails.
like always there for you.
What's funny is when playing Sonic, I think it's the fact that a game has them there, but is not as playable as the main character is.
Right.
Made me want to play that character more, and the fact that he could like kind of float with his tail by turning it, I was like, this is my favorite character. But now, like, I don't care for him.
No? Well, he doesn't get like I don't think he's gotten as big of a spotlight because they just kept expanding the roster of
Yeah.
Sonic characters to be so many different people. But like thinking of like that OG stuff where it was like Sonic 1 or 2 where Tails is flying the plane, Sonic is like jumping off and landing on the first zone. And then I think in the sequel you could play as Tails if you're playing 2-player. But like his benefit was he was just like floating around. I'm like, man, just 2 Tails is pretty cool.
I
Like,
know for Sega they had the they had an expansion DLC cassette where you'd put it in, and then on top of that
Yeah.
you put the regular game, and then you can play Knuckles in the regular game. And I was like, this is
This
ridiculous.
is fucking awesome. Head of its time. Yeah, Tails was awesome.
Ash Ketchum's Pikachu,
Dude, that feels like number 1, dude. Shit.
thick and thin.
Every Pokemon.
It made me so sad in the episode where it's like there's in the show
Where he talks.
no
the crying meme.
the one where it's like him leaving, like Pikachu finds other Pikachus,
Oh yeah.
and Ash is like, this is where he belongs, and he's like, you can go, and Pikachu's like, I'm gonna go, and then Ash is crying, and then Pikachu's like, nah, I'm going back. He goes, I was like,
Does he ever come back? I mean,
Yeah, he came back at the end of the episode.
oh, then it's fine.
But I'm just saying, like, that
Yeah, that
episode
moment.
was like, as a kid, I'm like,
I don't really remember it.
oh man, that hit me hard. It was emotional.
My other one
That's a good
is it's still very game related. Yoshi
Oh, yeah.
from Mario, dude. Like he's dispensable. You know, you
I mean,
jump
he
off
is
of him.
dispensable. Even
You just jump off of him to make a make a
Gotta
high
make the
jump.
goal post.
But what's cool is like he's such a big psychic that he even has one of the best Mario games there is. Yoshi's Island
Yoshi's
is
Island.
like
Yoshi's
classic.
Crafted World.
Yarny, his little like buddy. He even gets a sidekick. Yoshi, that little woolly tongue guy. Have you seen in the Crafted World?
No.
It's like a dog, and it's like a buddy of his. That, like,
I thought you were referring to Baby Mario.
Oh no, no, in the woolly ones. Yeah, Yoshi, man, he's.
Yeah, dude.
I always think of Mario World, and when I think of Mario World, I always think of Yoshi. It's like the cape and Yoshi, because like when he eats those tomatoes, like what the fuck are those things? Tomatoes?
I think they're tomatoes.
It always makes me hungry.
Oh, the M tomatoes.
No,
Well, I
no,
mean,
no,
that's
these
from,
like these
that's from
apples.
Star
yeah, they
Wars.
look like
They're
apple.
apples.
They're
That's
like
right.
really pulp, and I'm like, oh
He does
man,
the
he just fucking like chows those down. I'm like, and when he has what is it? Is it a winged Koopa or is it a red Koopa? Where if you
Red
spit-
Koopa is fire.
Fire. That's right.
And
Wing Koopa gives you wings, and then you
Yes.
can just, as long as you hold them in your mouth. How did those fucking powers work? It's just like, I ate it, now as long as he's in my mouth, he's like semi Kirby-esque.
I know you can't eat it to permanently have it.
And then my other memory with him was, I remember Mario 64. It was always like, man, am I ever going to reach the end of this game? And I saw another one of my friends reach the end, and he's like, when you reach the end, you can get Yoshi. I was like, what the fuck? He's like on the roof of the castle.
yeah.
And I was like, what? Mind blown. Like that game already blew my mind, but when I was a kid, and I was like,
Go inside a painting, like, what the fuck? The dog.
they took notes from Kojima. They're like,
The video where they sweep the dog hair and do the dog.
I do that.
yeah,
Do you have
Yoshi's good. I had one. Fuck. Where was it?
It was Yoshi. Fuck.
It might have. I think it was Pikachu. Does it count if it's the same animal as the owner or as the hero?
We'll just say it and we'll find out.
Well, like Donkey Kong is a monkey,
Oh, yeah.
but his sidekick
I
is
think it's fine.
Diddy Kong.
He's still a sidekick and he's an animal.
Okay. Well, it's like if I feel like to Donkey Kong, he's not a pet sidekick.
No, I mean,
To us, he is.
he doesn't
But
have to
to
be a
Donkey
pet
Kong,
sidekick,
it's like if I were to. What is it?
Oh, that's the.
Watch. Oh, no, you gotta watch this.
But like it's like if someone thought of humans as animals, and then you and I were the hero and sidekick,
Right.
they would be like, oh, that's his pet sidekick, because to us humans are animals. But I'm like, to me it's not. So I don't know if I don't know. I'm retracting Diddy Kong.
He's a sidekick though. It's not like it's a partner in crime. It doesn't
He's
necessarily
a furry
have to be.
sidekick. Okay, fair.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Okay.
necessarily have to
Anyway, I'm gonna say Falco. Diddy
the
Kong did.
same.
Diddy
Everyone
Kong
is
makes a
an
count. I
animal
don't
in
care. I accept that. I accept what you're
That's
saying,
so
but I'm just gonna change it to Falco because he's as much a sidekick as he is like a rival in a lot of ways. Like he's always like, I'm as good as you, Fox, and yeah, I like that. Like it's like a sidekick that pushes Fox to just continue being.
That fucking game, dude, where it's just always like, do a barrel roll. And then when they die, it's just like, I'm getting shot. And then it just like static sound. You're like, fuck, this game's too real, dude.
Sucks, bro. Mine's in the world of Harry Potter. Hedwig. Ooh. Harry's, I guess it's technically his first friend. No, not really. Yeah, I mean, Hagrid's his first friend, but
Is that the bird?
Yeah.
Owl?
the owl. He rest in peace.
Shit, I thought you were about to say Dommy, dude.
Rest in peace.
Is he an animal?
He's not human, I know that much.
So okay, I was Legolas.
Oh shit, no.
No, Hedwig. Yeah, it's like I like how he's just whenever. It's like he senses when Harry needs him and brings him like all this stuff.
What if the author comes back and is like, yeah, he's actually a human morphed animal, so he's not technically an animal, and then we have to retract the statement.
I don't care.
I don't care.
It's like Nagini.
Yeah, I don't care.
Oh, that's a good one. Apu. From Aladdin.
Oh, Aladdin.
Well, I meant Nagini in.
Yeah, Harry Potter.
Well, I meant Genie from Aladdin. So
I meant Apu from Aladdin.
Well, that's.
Oh,
the idea.
that's what made you think.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. I'm following the strand now.
Cut the strand. There should be a thing in Death Stranding. You could cut the strand. The guy's like, no, I need your help. Sucks, bro. Like,
I think you brought this up last time I mentioned that I had watched Aladdin. That you said that you watched the Broadway where they use three people
buddies instead of Apu.
to replace Apu. I'm glad they stuck with Apu. Like I think I wouldn't have liked it.
If you see it, it'd be enjoyable, but it made me think of it as a separate thing. That's like you said it's good as long as you don't compare it.
Right.
This helped me not compare it, and that's where I was like, this is cool. And another reason I like him is in the musical songs. There was a song that focuses on them saving Aladdin, and it's one of my favorite songs in the whole thing. It kind of felt like Three Stooges, but at the same time, they're like, there's a story for them, and I'm like, that would be a cool story.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that.
Okay.
But Apu's a good buddy. He's an elephant too, so he's like two animals. I want to go in the vein of cartoons and pick Scooby.
oh,
Because that motherfucker, whenever Shaggy wants to chow down, like
Scooby
he's
snacks?
always there to chow. Like it's like
Scooby and Scrappy. Let's put both of them.
okay, we include Scrappy.
I mean, he's pretty
I like
scary.
Scooby for different reasons than I like Scrappy. Scrappy's like always down for a fight. Like he's like what?
That's literally what his name kind of dictates. He's ready.
Yeah,
to
he's like a
scrap.
scrap, bro. Like World Star.
Yeah, sweep up the dog hair.
But like Scooby's like right there with Shaggy. Like he's like we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Scrappy's like, all right, I'll help you. I'm ready to take this.
They're
to
both
Shaggy.
afraid of everything. They both only want the food.
Like I think of Scrappy and I think of Kevin Hart.
Pretty much. There you go. Now we know who to cast as Scrappy whenever.
The Rock can be Fred. Yeah. Do you have any more?
I'm gonna go with a dog again. Crypto. I'm not too familiar with him. I just know him from the All-Star Superman, but Crypto
That's the
does help.
Superman dog, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So he's from Krypton?
I have no idea. I just know him from the All-Star Superman, and he helped Superman find
But
Mixopixel.
it made me think of like, wait, did they have dogs on Krypton? How the fuck did that
They
happen?
they retconned a shit ton, dude. So many people are from Krypton now.
Yeah.
God damn.
And it's the Krypton's supposed to be annihilated, right?
Except for the last city that Brainiac.
Oh yeah,
Candor?
yeah. It's
So
like-
it could be from there.
That's true.
Wait, so he
Before Krypton had been exploded, like much earlier, one of the cities in Krypton, in the planet of Krypton, was just like
Grabbed.
extracted
Okay.
from the planet and separated and put into a bottle. And everyone they thought they lost everyone from that state. What we didn't know is they were being preserved.
Yeah.
And then later, when Brainiac interacts with Superman, he finds out that the city exists, and that's where like more Kryptonians kind of come from.
Okay.
So that could easily be some
True.
element, but yeah.
It's a big ass city.
Do you have any?
I don't have any more. I mean, the cat from Marvel, Captain Marvel.
Oh, Oracle.
I mean, is it technically furry though?
Sure. Yeah, when you change it, just like they have to have fur, I'm like, I got one. Fucking Chewy.
Oh yeah.
He's like loyal to the end. He's the best bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. He can have his own movie.
Should. Katie and I have a theory that like this recent trilogy, 7, 8, 9, is just a means to killing off all the characters from the original. Like
So they can start
Han is gone.
Uh huh.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Leia's gone, but Luke is
Yeah.
gone in the second one.
Yeah.
And she's like, my money's Lando's gone in this next one. I'm like, nah, I think Chewie's gone this next
Oh
one.
yeah.
What if
dude.
both of them in the Millennium Falcon?
They fucking
It
could all
be.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not trying to say it's on a wish list, but I'm like, there's a trend happening where it's like out with the old, in with the new.
Yeah.
So I know
And-
they're. Oh, well, this is going off in a tangent.
Why not? Let's go off a change. We got no
David
chat.
Benioff.
We kind of forgot about the third topic.
So, I know that this is supposed to be the last movie for this
For the Skywalker.
for the Skywalker thing, but what if like they find like a whole nother thing of like kids that have the ability to be like a Jedi, essentially.
Well, they kind of hinted at that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they hinted it in the very first one.
No,
of
the
trilogy.
second one where the kid like
He
pulls a
force
broom.
pulls the thing. But I'm saying like that's one kid.
Yeah.
And he's with a group of kids that obviously seem like they might not have that power.
Sure.
But what
sure.
if like she finds like a
More people?
Yeah, just like it's like a whole freaking planet worth of these people, and you're like, this changes everything.
You could.
And now it's like a whole new fucking good versus evil.
And then they get slaughtered by one person. No, Anakin.
Yeah, I mean, it could very well happen. The thing is, like, it's weird with the post episode 6 or episode 4 or whatever, like the older stuff and going forward is, I think that all these people have existed. There just hasn't been a central, like, there isn't a unified school district for them to be like, oh, this is where we should go if we have those people, or they don't have people to go out to all these planets anymore. It went down to literally just like a handful of people and no hub. And so, like, I'm sure, like, there's many people that are like force sensitive or force like conscious, but they don't know what they have. It's sort of like if you didn't have Professor Xavier's school, where would mutants wouldn't know what to do with their stuff? They kind of just like hide or trying to like figure things out on their own. That could be cool. Is like maybe if you see some kids, but maybe you see some that are adults and they kind of like, I have a rough idea of something, but I never learned how to use it. Like that could be interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd have no more animal sidekicks.
Is Roger Rabbit a sidekick or is he the main character?
Jessica Rabbit is.
Does names count?
So rabbits in general.
God damn, why did he make her like the character?
Hey, I'm not complaining.
Chris, I know Christopher Lloyd's eyes. Doing.
Yes.
That's all I
no.
know. Okay. My topic was just like, hey, it's June. We're pretty like 6 months into the year, which is half of the year. Let's kind of look back at what we've had thus far in the year in movies, games, and whatever else, like conventions or something, and just kind of review like the things that stuck out to you. So there's no set amount, like you don't have to do top 10, but like if you got like 3 to 5 things that kind of like these were the peak moments of or most memorable or things that stood out to you, should be like shout outs to that for this year.
Might have been E3, but it hasn't happened.
We're gonna predict those in the past, or we've already predicted them, dude. So we got it covered. But like, I'm talking about things that have been released and are out. Unless something at E3 is like, and it's out now.
It's gonna be so funny, dude.
Hey, that's how it goes.
That's
how it goes. The thing is, we can capture those at the end of the year review. This is
just the mid-year review. Big moments. How big of a flop Anthem was. That's my biggest thing, dude. Woo. Dude, you didn't get it, right? No, I got Roberto to buy it, and he had no intention of buying it. And he was telling me like, dude, people are talking shit. And I'm like, dude, I'm honestly playing the game super slow. I haven't had any issues. Game's perfectly fine. He's like, all right, I'll pick it up. And we played a couple times together, and all these issues come up when you're playing Endgame, because that's where it really matters. And it's just like, oh my god, dude.
Hey, they could turn it around. There's still like the fact that they're working on fixing the patches that are bugging them. They've delayed new content because they're like, we want to get this stuff fixed. And then there's like one of the first things has been pushed out. It's coming out soon. Cataclysm. It's not the first time I've seen this with like Destiny and Division. Same things have happened. And so it'd be interesting to see them after a year. And like what is a year of this game being out and like being updated and stuff.
I know a thing that they said is Cataclysm is like a limited event. It's not like
it could change though.
It's not DLC that's gonna stay. It is
really?
like if you play like the next 3 weeks when this is released, this is what you're able to get. So I think a lot of people. I still follow like the Reddit thing.
Yeah.
They're speculating this is to entice people to be like, oh shit, like if I don't do it now, like I will never get to get this thing. Yeah,
FOMO.
But the thing is, people are like, I mean,
do I care?
Do I really care? Exactly. So like that, they're not going to get me.
The thing is, like, my friend told me they're not in EA Play.
No.
Anthem's not it.
No.
That's not good.
The thing is, one of my friends is like into Anthem still. They play kind of just on their own, and I was talking to them. They're like, "Oh yeah, maybe they'll be at EA Play." And I'm like, when I looked at that agenda, I didn't see them. But that announcement of the new patch and the updates and the Cataclysm info is like the week, like leading up to EA Play. So maybe they're just like, we're not going to make a presence because we know it's bad PR, but we'll give the people the updates they want for it that are still in it.
Right.
Kind of like low key it, and then like give the highlight of EA Play to like Apex and some of the other.
I mean,
like Jedi.
Last year, I wasted my reservation thing at the Anthem thing, and I saw the trailer, and I was just unimpressed. I was like, "This does."
But it was supposed to be a reservation for gameplay, right?
Yeah.
No, well, I mean, I thought it was. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's what
it was
I got
just a
burned
trailer.
on. Yeah. It's
And
like
you're not supposed to
exclusive appointment.
You're not supposed to take photos.
You
no,
took this-
no, I was kidding. I did it, but I'm just like, I wasn't impressed. I was just like, eh. But then I don't like
that kind of game.
Diablo style kind of games. So
I think it has interesting mechanics. Like when you mentioned the priming and everything, I think there's a lot to be done there. But again, with all these new like games as a service, third person, first person shooters like Division and Destiny and other ones, it doesn't seem like the shooter ones really learn from the other ones. Like they're like, we're not going to make the same mistakes Destiny did. Like they bring up Destiny a lot. Division made the same mistakes. Even after all the like, oh, this is a Destiny killer. It's like, nah, dude. It went through the exact same troubles, and like they're coming back with the second one, and it did better. But like it went through that same process of like, oh shit, we got to work, we got to fix things. And what I learned from the several interviews about Anthem was they were specifically told to not look at Destiny in Division because they're like, that's the competition. It's like, dude, we should learn from what they've done. And like some of the people were like, this is crazy that there's someone's directing me to not learn from it. I'm like, man, that's a mistake. So I hope it does well. Like maybe at the end of the year we'll see something interesting. But yeah, as of right now, definitely like flopped. Damn it. I want to talk about. I mean, we've talked about a lot. I just want to give it a nod. Game of Thrones.
speaking of flops,
Well, like just as an experience, like that was a big cultural like zeitgeist, and like wherever you fall on it, so many people have been riding this journey for so long. Much like maybe more the other successes, which we can maybe probably get into, but like
it's true. Like it was a journey, like to experience that. But the more I think about the last season, the more it just like it doesn't seem like it was worth it. Like I could have literally just never seen the last season and been fine still.
yeah, but it's gonna. I feel like I said with like Lost, the longer time goes by, the more I think about the good moments. Mm-hmm. Like I still hold in regard like the Brienne Hound fight in high regard, or like the reveal of certain things happening in like season
Hodor's.
2 or 3. Yeah, Hodor's thing. Like I feel like the more I get away from this shitty season, and for our opinion, but like other people might hold it in different regard, the more the bad will go away and the good will stand out. And I'm hoping that I think there was a lot more good, but it was like holy shit! Like everyone watched this. Like there was parties for this. There was the Oreo stuff. There was all the conventions. Like I remember all the people you've interviewed. Like all the Targaryen
predictions are wrong.
Predictions. All the Jon Snow. Like all these things. It's like when everyone experienced Pokemon Go when it first launched. Like that was something everyone experienced.
People running into the ocean to get Pokemon.
Yeah, like it was crazy. Like conventions were crazy. Like it has a community still, but it's not like when it launched. Mm-hmm. And I felt like the ending of this was in that same like just cool.
Yeah,
it was interesting to be a part of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm gonna talk about something good. Video games, the battle royale. No one ever wanted to see, but did see. Well, actually, people wanted to see.
Realm Royale,
Battle Rights,
Tetris 99. Yeah. I still play it to this day.
It's a fighting game. Fight me.
I mean, how smart is that? Making it a free.
I have to say though, because
you're just like.
I feel like it was like less than a month that I had said it when they announced Tetris. That I was like, it could be argued that Tetris is a fighting game, and they made it a battle royale, dude.
I mean, he's right. There's offense and defense. But that game is addicting, man. Like I still play it to this day. Like
it's just good, solid. It's not like cumbersome, and it's not like fluff. Or anything.
Dude, I don't like I feel like it's almost like they had experience on how exactly to make a fucking Tetris battle royale because it just released and it was fucking perfect. Like there is nothing that needed fixing. Like,
Yeah,
They can make so much money with skins. Like they haven't done it yet. They've kind of dabbled in it, like DLC.
Well, yeah, they do these timed events,
Yes.
which gets the interest, and then they did this recent DLC, which is like, I can now go in and be like, select an icon for my user, and I can also you can get tracks now. So it makes me think like, what could they go into the older library of Tetris music? Because the DS version, they did all the Nintendo variants. And there's like a Samus level, a Legend of Zelda level, and all these other levels. And I'm like, oh, dude, that would be so cool if they like Pokemon themed like Tetris Weekend or Zelda themed Tetris Weekend or Mario, like just fucking inject that shit. Like,
There's one thing missing though. We need duos and well, you can't do duos. You can 3-man teams. Like, come on, dude, make that happen, dude. Team gameplay.
How like
I have no idea how you would do it.
I think the only way it could work is if you do couch. I don't think because the amount of Nintendo online thing you mentioned to me Mario Maker, you can play with randos on co-op Mario Maker that they said, but there's no like join up with a friend and play online. I feel like Nintendo just doesn't understand the online co-op thing too well. That I think that it would, given that track record, it wouldn't like if they were to do it, they'd just be like, all right, like Mario Kart does it, where it's like, oh, you and a friend can go online together and be like Racer 1 and 2 in a 8-player track.
Right.
But online, it becomes a little bit more like it's there, but it's very, very minimally. But that game, yeah, 100%. Good call. Fucking love that game. That was like in the Nintendo Direct, and one of the ones that happened this year, I was like, what?
And available now.
Fuck everything else on that Direct. Like, this is the news. I think it was the same one that the Zelda game was on, the Link's Awakening or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that's fine, but like
on that Candace one, when this is announced, it'll be a week before it.
I had to admit though, it was easier when it first came out. Now they're just killers. The Tetris
people know the meta.
People know how to play. Yeah, I don't know how to play. I just do attackers.
What's funny is it either like people that are really good are just starting to pick up the game now or have been playing for a while now, and so you just see that now, or are people playing that much that they're getting good?
It's probably both, man.
It's just a mix of both.
It's like Fortnite. Just
shit.
People know how to play now.
People are building teaspoons, dude.
But it's so cool that even now it's not like difficult to get a game going with 99 people. But to mitigate that in case you can't, or if you're offline, they have the offline mode where you can play against bots. I'm like, that's fucking awesome, because it's not what you were suggesting where you could just set up situations, but at least it's like something to practice if you want.
That should be an update though for that specific one that you have.
I would like maybe if it's not a setup thing, it could be like challenges, like like maybe it's a tutorial mode that if you can complete it, you get a badge or something.
You start like,
and it's like basic tutorial, and then it's like do 8 T-spins in the span of like 20 lines.
When you say that, the first challenge I think of is like you're already halfway up. It's got like
that could be something.
It's got certain things set up for you, and you're starting at like a certain speed. So like they're just dropping like you're just like, oh shit, and you gotta start.
Well, like it could be different challenges. Yeah. Like each one would teach you a different thing, and it would be on a higher level where it's like, okay, we get the basics. Like this is for like I want to be able to learn T-spins, and I could practice it here. Like what you were saying, like that could be cool.
Yeah,
but I would like something like even if I'm not playing co-op with friends, I would like some sort of like leaderboard with my friends where it's like, oh, all my friends that own this game, what's their rank online? Like how many wins have they gotten? How many top 10s have they gotten? Like where do I stand with them? That'd be cool. Do you have any?
Mine is VR related. I haven't picked them up, but we've got 2 new headsets this year, both from Oculus. We have a Oculus Rift S, which still connects to the computer, but is much more streamlined. There's only one cable going to the computer as opposed to the 16 that I have going to my computer. And then we have the Oculus Quest, which is the
handheld, like no cord.
Yeah, no cord one, which is like, what's funny because like the guy who was like leading the Facebook Oculus was in the very beginning when he was still creating just a regular Rift. He's like, there's no way we'll have wireless like within like a certain amount of time. And it's, like
technology.
Yeah, dude, we're moving so fast and this is a guy who's like, he is designing and creating this thing, who's saying like, yeah, we won't have it in a certain amount of time. And here we are, like, 2 years after him saying that, like having what he thought couldn't be possible.
I mean, here we are in a simulation.
This is pretty good VR.
But yeah, I mean, it's not obviously that handheld one or like the cable free one doesn't have the nearly the capabilities of what one connected computer does. But there are games now that aren't too heavy.
Beat Saber,
which
is a very popular
the main one. Yeah, and then I think Super Hot as well. I
think that's popular. There's a lot more that I've been hearing about that are just like similar ideas, but taking advantage of it.
But even like for me, I have the original that connects to my computer, and the two main games I play are Super Hot and Beat Saber. Like those are the only two I need, like. So they have like what I would consider like really, really good games that are available on this wireless one, which is fantastic. Like that's the good way to do it, is having these fantastic games on like the easiest to use version. So.
Or just like having it not just on, because I remember when VR first came out, it was like HTC Vive, that's it. HTC Vive has its library of games that are exclusive to it. Quest has, Oculus has their own. Oculus. PSVR has its own, and you're seeing like Beat Saber being released everywhere. You're seeing Super Hot getting like broader releases, and it makes it like people are like, I don't care what platform you have VR, you're able to experience these games.
Yeah,
and it's drawing more people to like some sort of VR. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess I'm going to touch on the other franchise that had a big culmination, Avengers.
Oh yeah,
Marvel. I think it's a crazy to see 22 plus movies
from Daniel
kind of tying in and sticking the landing the way it did.
What Game of Thrones lacked, Avengers picked up the slack.
It picked it up before it needed picking up,
And even if it was too predictable,
Oh man.
No, but like that was a conclusion. Even though it's still continuing, it was like they've been building continuously towards this sort of moment. And I think like Kevin Feige was like the moment where Cap was like, where everyone just showed up around Cap and he's fighting. I was like, he's like, I was waiting for that moment, like to see that roster.
When he says Avengers, assemble.
I was like, fuck. And then like
you get goosebumps. Everybody stood up in my theater. They were like, "Ah!" Like guys scream like girls. Dude.
No, dude, the hammer scene, dude. I'm just saying hammers. No spoilers.
Hammer time, bro. No, yeah, it was crazy to also be like a part of that, like seeing it happening along. Like we literally saw it start and reach this point.
Yeah,
and.
But the thing is also, I mean, this is obviously like throwing shade at Game of Thrones, but the fact that it ended well, like the fact that it had an ending that people found acceptable, weren't like, oh, this is, stupid writing. Like, why'd they even do this or whatever?
Sure.
So
it is also like the challenges and tribulations and the pros and cons of different mediums, like movies versus television, television becoming more like movies, whether or not it works or not, and then also the cast and like not just the cast but your audience. Like Avengers and Marvel is broad and it's hitting a larger fan base. It's like kids and adults. Katie and I were talking about like, will Game of Thrones we were in a Barnes in Seattle and we saw like 4 shelves of Harry Potter, and it's like those movies came out so long ago and they still have this long lasting like thing. Does Game of Thrones have that? Like fuel, and we could argue whether or not, but like one of my basic points was just it's a rated R like show,
Yes.
and while it does have appeal, like kids dressing up as Daenerys and stuff, I think at the end of the day, it's like the big disconnect is just going to be that it's a more mature take, and because of that, it's accessible from a certain age up.
I'm not gonna like try to compare. I would just say the comparison is difficult because the books aren't finished.
Sure, that's another argument to be made.
I think that is, at least for me, like the main argument as to why I could never compare like the success of Harry Potter, like the show with the books, as opposed to Game of Thrones. Like, I don't know.
But even the movies have had like, if you just look at the Potter movies and the Game of Thrones show, like there was all this all the merchandising happened after the show started for Game of Thrones. Anyway, we're getting into the weeds of it.
Harry Potter versus Game of
We got time. We got
Fourth
time.
time.
Sure. Yeah, this is a topic. We're gonna like,
Gotta save my topic.
but anyway, it was just to a point of like that whole comparison of Marvel and Game of Thrones. It was a continuation of that, but it was cool to see the Marvel one as well. Like we got both of them in the same year. Like that's how often does that happen? Once, let alone twice.
I'm gonna bring up 2 games.
Okay.
Same kind of genre,
Fighting
or
games. Got
they
it.
deal with zombies. Days Gone, which I played and didn't like, and Resident Evil 2, which I played and loved but didn't finish.
And Resident Evil 4. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I was like, wait. I was like, huh?
That was
like, it did come out.
Two,
Switch.
2 was the new game, but the 4 was
I
just
was like
the remake.
competing. Wait, it did come out for the Switch, and yes, yeah. So
Okay.
Resident Evil 2,
Did you play that?
yes, and I didn't beat it, but it's fucking fantastic. I mean, like they kind of switched things, so like scary parts were different, but it still scared me, and I found it amazing. The graphics are amazing, and I think it's rumored that Resident Evil 3 is going to be remade because of the success of Resident Evil 2 selling, how it sold. So I never played 3, so
So here's a question I have. I remember last year or the year before, Resident Evil, the house one where it's where like the guy and all this stuff. That was a new Resident Evil game, or is that a remake of
that's
like
a
the original?
remaster of a GameCube one.
The one with the house.
Oh, the 7, Resident Evil 7. That's a new one.
But it
That's
was just called Resident Evil?
it was called Resident Evil 7.
Oh, it was. Okay.
The one with the old lady who's just like.
So do you think when will we get 8?
Brand new one.
Do you think we'll get a remake of 3 before we get
It's rumored
8?
that 3 is being made right now,
okay.
and it'll be announced. in
We'll
E3.
probably see like Resident Evil 12, the movie, before we see Resident Evil 8.
yeah, with Monster Hunter times.
I mean, Capcom's on a roll. I'm not gonna lie.
Monster Hunter.
Dude,
Iceborne.
they're like, I feel like they're like wringing a towel and it's just like droplets are now dropping on.
that's
on
Konami,
Resident
dude.
Evil.
Yeah.
Konami, like Metal Gear.
Yeah, but it's so good. Like, is it droplets?
They might have redipped it in water then, I guess, you know?
Okay. It's a sponge.
It's just
No matter how much you're like drenched it.
Days Gone. What a flop, dude.
it's
I
funny
think the
too.
thing with me with Days Gone was just like the hype they had built around it made you think it was gonna blow the house down. Where it was just like,
Anthem.
well, I wouldn't say did it have problems? Like I feel like Anthem's thing was
Days
like,
Gone has problems.
oh,
Yeah,
I
a
still
lot of
think it's
glitches.
that. But I mean, I picked that game up and I haven't even touched it. It's still sealed. It's another knack.
Days
bro.
Gone?
the thing I was reading about it.
I bought it for like $40.
Oh, you got it like a deal, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I found it for a deal.
The thing I was seeing about is like it just taking it on its own and not thinking about like is it like on a Last of Us level or everything. Like when you play through the story, there is something interesting there. But when you have so many other games that are like on another level, like that by comparison doesn't feel as satisfying. And it's like
I agree.
that could that hurts it when you're promoting it as like a tentpole game. Like when you've done Spider-Man, when you've done God of War, when you've done the Death Stranding is showing and all this stuff. It's and Horizon Zero Dawn.
That's similar to me in Shazam because of Endgame. Shazam was a good movie, but damn, Endgame just went.
Did you hear about? I mean, we might talk about it because if you guys see it, but I'm not gonna see it. The Phoenix movie. I heard they had to reshoot the ending completely, and James McAvoy was like,
Because
it was too similar to another comic book movie.
Oh shit!
That had come out recently, and we're like, oh no, we didn't know it was that similar. I'm like, which one was it? And I'm like, I'm thinking Avengers, but I'm like, how? How could it be Avengers?
Maybe the.
Where are we? You see her instead of clapping, she's like,
Yeah.
but I'm like, damn. And whenever I hear reshoots, I always just go like,
Not good.
I think
risky.
that movie's gonna lose a lot of money. It
I
costs
hope-
$200
I
million
hope
to
so.
make.
I am not a fan of what they
You hope it loses a lot of money?
I don't. I want them to fucking learn. Like, don't do this.
They have to lose a lot of money to learn.
Good. Learn your lesson.
I don't
long
think
as
they're
they-
gonna break even, dude.
Good.
That. I think they'll break even.
Yeah.
But
I think internationally.
Oh yeah, you're
there's
right.
always.
You're right. Damn it.
I mean, Transformers. Test of it. But
Man.
we'll see. If it's a good, then it's good. But I don't have high hopes. Anyway, did you have? You had one since you.
For me,
Any more?
it's a game that it's breaking barriers that we just heard about. Cuphead. It got this year got released on Switch.
Oh yeah.
And it's about to release on a fucking car, dude. What the F, dude? Like, I mean, it makes sense. The car drives its own. I guess you can play it while it's driving.
Oh my god, dude.
No, but like,
But imagine they just like put the foot down.
So obviously, I think it's a bad idea to put a game on a car.
idea.
But I think the idea is that there are there's more media areas to put games in. Like, and not to say obviously a fucking car is the one to do it on.
Well, I mean, they've had it in the backseat of a car, like movies and shows and stuff, or like, oh, my dashboard now has DVD playback, and like people can custom set that up. But I'm like, I don't know, like.
But this is the car itself. Like the car is the console, essentially. Like,
I mean, Tesla's doing a lot this year. The first porno was filmed in a Tesla this year, and Elon Musk like tweeted, he's like, I guess that's a thing that our cars could do.
I actually.
Like it was while it was driving itself, and there was like Bang Bros or Pornhub or something. This guy's in the driver's seat, this girl, and I was like, and Elon Musk was like, okay.
I give it a thumbs up.
He commented, I don't know what he said, but he said something to it, and he's like,
this is exactly. He's like, this is what I'm here for.
Let's give him Cuphead, guys. We broke the milestone. Have you seen the deep fake thing where it's Elon Musk's face on brand?
No, I haven't. Holy shit, dude.
It's Tyrion doing the, if we choose you, will you lead us? And it's just Elon Musk like.
Oh, he's doing the fucking.
No, it's like it's like a squinted face that he does sometimes. But it, like on Brand's head, it looked like it fit. He's just like, yeah,
that's funny.
I mean, that is yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, dude, I mean, does that mean that soon we'll have TVs that are consoles themselves? Which we've mentioned before, I think.
Yeah.
We talked about what like the future system will be, and we're like a TV that'll have it all.
It could, but even also you look at like Stadia, whatever that's going to be, and how that's just whatever platform. Like, if Cuphead could be there, like imagine a car with Wi-Fi, which they did, they have 3G or whatever. Just bust out your Stadia controller and just start playing on your car.
Fucking Dark Souls, dude. The most ragiest of games, dude.
Yeah. What else?
What else is there this year?
I mean, I could talk about something that I was going to talk about a few weeks ago, I guess, according to this.
I mean, you can bring it up, but
Godzilla.
Oh yeah.
I should just say no, not Godzilla. Movies in May.
No, well, mention it because at this point,
it is a part of it.
We would have already talked about it.
Movies in May. Detective Pikachu satisfied me. John Wick blew my mind.
Fucking blew my mind.
Godzilla was just like a bodily experience. Like
you're trying to show it on your how it felt.
Like
long live the king.
I felt like the easiest way I can say is I felt like a kid again.
Yeah, I can just say Godzilla is probably better than Game of Thrones season 8.
Well, there was scenes where we're like, because we get dragons in Game of Thrones, and like I saw these kaiju dragons and
you mean
shit. Titans, whatever the fuck you want to call them. And I'm like, get on, like this is like, it's not. I was not trying to throw shade at Game of Thrones, but at the same time, I was like, Drogon, eat your heart out. Like fucking, these monsters are just gods. Like,
you know what's crazy? Like,
which is cool, like because I'm like, okay, we're getting different types of kaiju in all sorts of medium.
It's highly unrealistic, but if there was a kaiju, that's like one of my biggest fears. Like, just roaming around.
You should watch Shin Godzilla, because that one was like what a city would try to do and what would happen to a city.
I understand what they were trying to go with, but like
with Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, with Shin Godzilla. But the thing is, like, I think I didn't expect
that.
Yeah, you know, like, and I think that's what like threw me off. I mean, I liked it, and I'll rewatch it again if I could. But
Tarantino has a Godzilla script, but he won't make it because he's afraid how fanboys react. But he has written a Godzilla script. Yeah,
you should do what Max Landis does and just like send it out, because he did that with that Mario script. And that builds a fan base behind something. Like even the guy that did District 13 or District 9. He did. Well, there's District B13, which is like a French movie. District 9. He did the Alien script, and like Sigourney Weaver and a bunch of people wanted to be like, let's fucking make this. And then Ridley Scott's like, not until I get my movies. And I'm like, you can get stuff just by like sharing your idea.
Yeah,
I'd be interested because he also has a Star Trek idea, and I think it's getting more and more like.
I thought the newest Star Trek was written by him.
I don't
think-
know. It's getting confusing because they were like, "Are we going to get a fourth one?" And Chris Pine and a few other people were like, contract negotiations fell through.
I want
then-
$10 million.
Yeah, and then Tarantino's got a different thing. I think it's separate from this. So I don't know, but yeah, like the movies in May have just all like checked every box for me, and Godzilla was like the final like.
Yeah, it was a good month. It's funny because looking like in the beginning of the year, like I usually go through like what movies are going to come out, but like I'll watch that one, I'll watch that one. I didn't feel like I had 3+ movies in this month, dude. But here we are. And well, May has passed, and we've had good movies come through. So
That's why I wanted to shout out
Phoenix
to May.
coming up too. So.
Honorable mention to Devil May Cry 5. Played it, lost interest. I almost beat the game, but I was in hell. I was in hell, dude, and I'm done. Like Cuphead. Got to hell and I'm done. But my shout out goes to the game of the year so far. Death Stranding. We're waiting on Death Stranding's review. Sekiro. Shadows die thrice. It's fucking amazing. I didn't expect it to be like that, but no complaints, man. They made a game that was actually difficult for even veterans of Dark Souls and Bloodborne, and it was cool. It's fun. I think it's easier, but
It's still challenging.
yeah, it's challenging. It's a
Have you
different
finished-
style.
have
Like
you
you can't
finished?
play defensively. I think
Oh.
that's why Dark Souls veterans are getting messed up. You got to be super aggressive in that game.
Have you beat it? No.
I was close.
I know that you've played a lot of different games, but
Yeah.
I always hear. I know it's got many different challenging moments in it, but I've heard like the end boss. To many people, that's like the final. I mean, it is the final boss, but it's like it is unbeatable to many people. And these are coming from people that are veterans of this style game. They're like, I don't know how the fuck you do it. And I wanted to know from your experience if you felt that way or if you had a different experience.
I've heard he's actually the second hardest boss, but I've beaten the hardest boss, the Guardian Ape with his fucking bride. Oh my god, in his smaller ass space, that shit was fucking hard. It didn't take me too long, but I was like,
Well, if you ever get to that final one, I want to know.
yeah, that's what a lot of people on my stream want to see too.
Do you have any more shoutouts?
Actually, with him bringing up that I think we should actually all come up with a mid-year game favorite that we have.
I got to check real quick.
Um,
Because there's one that could easily win all of this.
And I'm trying to think of mine. The thing is, I can only think of the most recent one, which I don't think is a good one because I've only played it, less than a week or so in total.
World of Warcraft?
No,
Final
Dauntless.
Fantasy 14.
Dauntless.
Oh, Dauntless, really?
Yeah.
I mean,
I would
Iceborne's
say-
not out yet.
I would say, with Final Fantasy, I would say my money's worth. I mean, I played from beginning to end of like the very original game for $15.
Okay.
I just had to pay for them 1 month. And
Apex came out this year.
Apex. Didn't.
You haven't really played that though, right?
I've only played the demo like you did, or not the demo, the like intro, the training.
Oh, right. Okay.
That's all I really played.
How far in Secure did you get?
Not very far.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I think you and I kind of tapered off. I usually went a little further than I did.
I got to the horse boss.
Right,
and that was
right.
it. But that guy's,
There's a way to cheese that guy.
Yeah.
I saw. It's like,
So it's because I don't play aggressively like he's saying like you should be playing because there's no stamina bar, so you can just constantly be attacking, and that's what you're supposed to be doing. But I'm over here like waiting for an opening to hit these guys when I should just be like making them
Breaking them down?
Yeah, try to
Yeah.
break them down.
I mean, fuck, I'm having a hard time getting any internet going.
I mean, I have to like in the beginning of the year, the game I was playing the most, and I think I still ends up being the most, other than obviously World of Warcraft, would be Destiny for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you get the annual pass thing?
I do. I have
Yeah.
like everything that's coming out. I technically have, but it's just. I think if they were to come out with like new DLC, new content, I'd play. But like I was never interested in the multi. Like fighting against people is not my thing. Like
PvP
PvP stuff. Yeah. So that's
I
why I
like Iron
can't really.
Banner.
Yeah.
And like the only time I did really enjoy it, like the peak times were when we did trials. That was a lot of fun, and I felt like having a 3-man team made it enjoyable.
Yeah.
And like having 4-people teams and the game modes constantly changing in competitive, like always like has been standoff for me. And
But yeah, like so that right now the newest content is the season of the Drifter, and that's
Gambit.
related against PvP. I mean, not necessarily PvP, but you are playing against someone else, and it's just like that competitive stuff. It burns me out if like I'm never with a good team, and I'll just be
Sure.
like, you know, all your efforts, like you know, and it doesn't show it, you know, and I don't know.
Well, yeah, PvE, like there's a lot of more soloable content. Like raids aren't like are PvE, but you require a group. But
Yeah.
you don't have to do that. You can still do like strikes and all these other things, and it's a little bit more. I mean, I'm looking at this list of games come out this year. I think mid-year, Tetris 99. That's my game of the year.
Yeah.
It's so simple.
Dude, you
and
got
yet
first
so
place while fucking running on a treadmill.
fucking elliptical, baby. Peak
Who else
moment
can
of the
say
year.
that? Yeah.
I wanted to give one more shot. It's Pokemon Go. They added PvP very recently, like not super recently, but like within I think at least it was at the start of the year, if not maybe end of last year. I forget. But like I'm kind of interested in this. Like I've been following, just watching the competitive scene, and it's interesting. It's not like esports level,
Yeah.
but there's a grassroots kind of community that Smash kind of has. It feels like it's very passionate based, and like the meta is always changing due to moves getting buffed or debuffed as the game gets patched or whatever. And I think that's something that like to me has kind of intrigued me. I'm like, oh, things like a slowpoke is all of a sudden very valuable, and I'm like, oh shit, like it makes me think of the game differently, and I think that's interesting. But Tetris 99 mid-year game of the year.
Nice. It's a good choice.
Sekiro. I mean, I already said it.
Yeah.
I hope Death Stranding surpasses it.
Yeah, Death
That's-
Stranding could be interesting. What other games?
I'm just worried, dude. We're having like because right
I
now
know,
watching
I know.
us talking about it, I'm like, damn, we're kind of hyping this up.
Like-
really.
Well, to me, it's just more like it doesn't need to be a game of the year for me personally. Like my goal with it is it's sort of like Lost, where there's this mystery to it, and I want to understand what that mystery is. Like it could be a grand mystery, it could be like this just weird thing that he's worked on. I just want to see it. Like
That's the one thing I'm worried about. If it's like such a weird thing that he's worked on, and like other people realize like what it is finally, and you're just like, oh, that's not my thing. You know, like that's not for me.
sure, that could happen.
Yeah.
Like a lot of what he's doing reminds me of Grant Morrison, where it's very abstract, it's very off the wall, but like you need that to kind of push people in the industry to be like, we should try thinking about games differently. Or
He's always thought things differently. Like when he pitched Metal Gear to Konami, like I want to make it because games are all about action. He's like, I want a game where you don't fight and you try to hide. And the guy was like, are you an idiot? Like this would never sell. And so like I feel like he's on this whole different level.
Yeah.
So when he said it was not a stealth game, I'm like, holy shit. I was like, what can he make this fucking game, dude?
Yeah.
Like how he's gonna make this game.
I think it's gonna be a technical achievement. I think that there's things that like you could. I'm predicting that it'll be a technical achievement. I think in terms of satisfying gameplay and stuff, who knows? It's up in the air. But yeah, don't want. I'm tempering my goal, what I'm expecting out of it.
I'm just gonna guess real quick with like because you're saying like it's not a stealth game. What could it be? I think he's going back to roots where it's like where the guy was like, if it's not an action game, you're a fucking idiot. I think it's gonna be an action game where you can't fight back essentially. Like you have these things and so you're always just trying to run away. And obviously he's gonna add more to that. But I think that's a lot of it. What's gonna happen within the game is things will attack you and you just kind of dodge and weave and get out of the way.
I think you can kill him though. It says
There was a
you
gun
don't wanna
part,
kill.
and then there was a briefcase part. Like when he's doing this thing, and finally
Yeah.
at the end of it, he throws his briefcase.
But
and
he didn't
punches-
and he didn't have a weapon until he managed to down one of them
Sure.
and grab that weapon.
Yeah, we'll
But
see.
yeah, essentially. But I guess what I'm saying is that it's not normal in the sense of like always having.
Yeah,
a gun.
yeah, it's not like the
you'll
main
use
focus.
everything you have. You know,
That's
grab
why I
a
think the
ladder
exploration-
and just make it drop on someone. Probably. You know.
Going back to topic one.
connect it all together, bro. Strands.
That's the strat. Kojima's like, they got it. They understand.
It makes a circle.
My ghost is just gonna troll.
Dude, it goes to what's it called? The alien movie that had just come out. The with like the oval sphere thing.
Arrival?
Arrival, yeah. Because the talking is like
Oh yeah.
or the language.
Hi guys, where can people find me?
They can find me at the Folio everywhere, but not really.
At the last bosses everywhere.
You can find me at Kujo Prime. You can find us all at the Weekly DLC. And yeah, we'd love to hear what you guys think of like everything that's happened so far this year. what are the big milestones that hit for you? What are some sidekicks you really liked? What you think of Kojima's meanings in games and stuff. So be cool. Until next time, we'll
DLC.
You later.